This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. We did win this election.
We could know the results as early as tomorrow morning, but it may take a little longer. As I've said all along, it's not my place or Donald Trump's place to declare who's won this election. That's the decision of the American people. But I'm optimistic about this outcome.
Right now, I think we're seeing what we expected, which is a fair amount of uncertainty in the immediate hours and day after Election Day. There are a number of votes that have still yet to be counted. Right now, we're still seeing that it looks like Biden may have a path, but that path is certainly rife with uncertainty. What I'm keeping an eye on right now are the votes that have yet to be cast in Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada, most importantly. In those states, particularly in Michigan and Wisconsin, we see that most of the vote that's outstanding are early and mail-in ballots, which should favor Joe Biden. Those are the early indications that we're seeing at this moment.
Yeah, well, I think we're in a world of purgatory right now. I think a lot of folks were hoping that we would have a pretty clear result based on the votes that came in last night and based on the fact that Biden seemed to be pretty far ahead in a lot of the polls, but turns out that things were a lot closer last night when the votes came in. So now we're looking at probably a pretty narrow Biden win based on a blue shift in particularly Pennsylvania. We're looking at possibly a 50-50 Senate or at best a 51-49 Senate either way.
I think what we saw coming in last night, the Election Day votes, did look better for President Trump. And that's what we had been predicting based on people's stated vote intent and vote behavior before the election. We knew that more Democrats were going to be voting early, voting by mail, whereas more Republicans were going to be saving their vote for the day of. And so that's sort of what we saw last night. Now what we're waiting on are the rest of those mail-in ballots to be counted. And in these key battleground states, especially Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin, along with Pennsylvania, that's what's really at stake right now.
The Electoral College has given Republicans a significant advantage in several of the last elections. Bush wouldn't have won in 2000 without the Electoral College. Trump wouldn't have won in 2016 without the Electoral College. And if Trump wins ultimately in 2020, it will be because of the Electoral College. So, I mean, it's a crazy way of picking a president that didn't really make a lot of sense in 1787. It was sort of this last minute compromise, never worked out as planned. As as Americans, we've spent about 230 years trying to think about ways to get rid of it and never quite been able to manage that. So if Trump wins an Electoral College victory and loses the popular vote, it would, I think Democrats would absolutely go crazy. And I think there will be a tremendous sense that Trump's win is illegitimate. And we have these very strange, antiquated institutions that create these really strange distortions in our political system. I mean, the Republicans have won presidency, or I should say, the Republicans have only won the popular vote for the presidency once since 1988. And Republican senators have only represented a majority of Americans once in the last 40 years. And yet, for about half this time, Republicans have held the Senate and the White House. So, I mean, it's hard to understate how much our political institutions are helping one party over the other party right now. And that creates a tremendous sense of illegitimacy, I think, in our political institutions and our political system that I really do worry about going forward.
Well, and here's the thing. I think that question of legitimacy, that's what's really going to come into focus over the next few days. You know, we had President Trump going on TV last night declaring victory when there are millions of votes that have yet to be cast in America. And frankly, we don't know who the winner is at this point. You know, we will know when all of the votes are counted. What we do know at this point is that the votes that are still outstanding, especially in Michigan, Wisconsin, probably Arizona as well, you know, do seem to have an upside for Joe Biden. And so his path, what it's looking like, Biden's path is perhaps small victories in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and then Nevada, which they've said we won't even know until tomorrow. So to claim victory at this point, I think speaks to the question and the fear that many Americans have of the legitimacy of elections and the stability of our democracy right now. But going back to Lee's point about the Electoral College, you know, public opinion polls have shown that most Americans are in favor of abolishing the Electoral College and electing a president based on the national popular vote. Now, of course, there's not bipartisan agreement on that, especially not now, especially not after 2016. A majority of Democrats favor getting rid of the Electoral College, while a majority of Republicans obviously want to keep it in place.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing I'm going to be looking out for, is I think a lot of people will be looking out for, is spread of misinformation and disinformation. That, you know, I think we'll start to see a propagation of rumors that Democrats somehow cheated. I mean, you know, we're going to see some litigation. Who knows what might get unearthed as we look more closely if we're in a recount territory. You know, I think, you know, large percentages of Republicans think the Democrats were trying to cheat in this election. You know, if Republicans pull ahead, and a lot of people are going to start asking, well, you know, why did the polls show such a difference? Could it be that somebody went into the machines and tampered with the votes to help Republicans? Yeah, there's so much dry tinder right now for conspiracy theories propagating. You know, so many people who just don't think that if the other side wins, it will be a legitimate victory. And there's Trump at the helm of all this, you know, shouting conspiracy theories, and a lot of people eat that right up. So we're entering, I think, dangerous territory, and I think this is a moment in which, you know, we need to take a step back, really, and think about, how did we get into such this situation, and do we need different political institutions going forward? And our democracy is changing tremendously. Our country is changing tremendously. And it's clear that something has gone deeply wrong with the way that we are doing democracy in the US. And, you know, it's not the first time that we've encountered these problems. And in the past, we've, as a nation, taken a good hard look at how our political system works and said, you know what, we can do better. And I hope we have that conversation in the months and years to come, because we absolutely need it.
One thing that's really telling for me is looking at public opinion data about what people think about this transition period. We at Ipsos released some polling not too long ago asking people about, you know, how confident they were that the transition time between election day and the next presidential term in January will be peaceful. And we see less than half, 40%, are confident that that's the case. More said that they weren't confident. So again, you have this fundamental concern or lack of confidence from the American people that the period that we're about to enter in will be peaceful. And so I think that just speaks to how this election and this period we are in right now, the day after the election, is still just rife with uncertainty.